The following video will be considered filler material. WebTech response to the vegan teacher will be in the title just because that seems to be the trend that people think will work. And I'm going to be covering G. Richard Scott's TED Ed video, which you'll have to look up. Just type that in and answer the question. We can survive crooked teeth or impacted wisdom teeth and that sort of thing because we can, and our ancestors couldn't because they couldn't. The reason you have mature and also immature skulls with people that were perfectly healthy that had perfectly straight piano straight teeth is because the ones that died from the infections had a type of bacteria that would eat them after they were dead. If you die from an infection from like an abscess in the jaw that attacks the rest of the head and actually gives you a facial infection and kills you, you die. People who have crooked teeth would die. The reason that you found people being preferentially showing up in the fossil record as being the majority of bodies that you can find having a set of characteristics is those are the ones that didn't die from having defects. We don't have a survival of the fittest thing actually ruling us as much anymore. We can artificially get past our defects. I am nearsighted. My eyes go in two different directions. I have a genetic predisposition towards having bacterial infections. This is one of the reasons I know a little bit about this. That most of you are immune to that will kill me. This also means that when I gain an immunity, I end up having a very high likelihood of being a carrier of these infections, meaning I would have to be listed with the health department locally. And at one time, I kept getting infections that were trying to take my legs or destroy my face. So I have a little bit of knowledge in this area. And then my immune system eventually adapted, but not completely. I'm now maybe as immune as all of you, but I'm still technically capable of being a carrier. So I have to be very diligent about using antiseptic on my skin even after taking a bath or whatever. The point is, somebody with my genetic issues would have been dead, would not have reached maturity, would not have passed on the genes. Not that I passed on my genes to anybody that I know of. And that's a joke, obviously, I would know. And me having, at one time, quote, perfect teeth, including the wisdom teeth about to show up, and then finding out later they were perfect on the outside, but hollow in the inside, and I had hollow teeth. No, that's not caused by anything you're going to type in the description. If you make an assumption about how I grew up and what was in the water, it's not true. It really isn't. But the thing here that's important is I had the tooth crowding and jostling and all that sort of thing, but what happened to me that caused me to lose all four of the front teeth and eventually a fifth one in the front and just two molars here and all the wisdom teeth having to be pulled in the last 2 years was because of a bicycle accident. Before that happened, I had literally perfect teeth. In fact, the wisdom teeth had come in. They came in slightly crooked, but they were there. But they were deformed and hollow. Genetic predisposition towards having brittle teeth or hollow teeth. Now let's address what was said in the TED Ed and every other page where people long for the good old days when you'd be eaten by, well, apparently at that timing, saber-toothed tigers or something. Or giant ocelots or whatever the hell. You know, enormous cow-sized hamsters. Those existed. No, you don't long for the good old days because it just meant that people died vastly more often. People love ignoring the fact that, well, you can all lead a vegan, vegetarian, paleo diet and live longer. Because you have the luxury of being able to do something to yourself that might kill you, you can get away with it. And now we get to the vegan teachers and vegan Nazis, not the actual vegans and vegetarians. Making a limited diet for yourself when you're an omnivore is dumb. I'm not going to discuss it. It's just dumb. Dietary reasons, you might need to. In my case, I'm not able to digest some types of vegetable material at all anymore. No, it's not lactose and somehow gluten intolerance. It's just that my body is... The enzymes in my body are no longer digesting things correctly, so I have to pick and choose what I eat. A lot of you who are getting older have the same problem. Nobody really talks about this thing, but we're losing the ability, just because we're getting older now, to be able to digest as many different foods as we want. One of them is I can't eat most vegetables unless they're cooked. So raw food, foodies out there that preach things as a political position, they can get away with it because they're just not old enough to find out, oh, my body won't digest certain things anymore at all. And it's literally lethally dangerous if I try to limit my diet. I'm trying to unlimit my diet. And seeing people preach this crap on the internet is lethal. Doesn't matter if you like it. And again, the reason our ancestors, we find the bodies that we can find with seemingly idealized characteristics, one of maybe two, and the rest of them is completely miserable because they show signs of rickets and every other damn thing wrong with them, is because those are the ones that didn't die. That's all. These days, the reason you pass on a characteristic is because you're able to make it big in the stock market and marry Grimes. True story. That's the only reason. That may be the literal only reason that Elon Musk got anywhere. No shade on Grimes. But really, she should have picked better. She should have chosen more wisely. But the whole point I'm making here is that it's not survival of the fittest. Some of you out there who idealize Trump, he isn't actually top tier alpha male, whether you like it or not. Never has been. He always on purpose behaved as and made sure he was a middleman. He only tried to be an alpha male or whatever you want to call it, if you believe that kind of crap, which, by the way, that doesn't actually work that way. That's not how wolves work. Because he wanted to be president, because he was going through a period of time where his brain's much less efficient and functional. He realized he wanted a legacy, and he realized, and again, it's part of Art of the Deal to go read the damn thing. I mean, people keep quoting it like you read it, but you didn't. He would make sure he wasn't the biggest boy in the room. He at one time was very tactical. He isn't anymore. He's lost it. It's one of the many reasons I'm like, this isn't the Trump I grew up hearing and reading about. This is a completely different person. I'm going to throw out my previous preconceived notions. What is he doing now? And I see him having cat fights on Twitter. That's not a person I want for president. I'm being honest. That's why I didn't want him in there. At the time, Biden wasn't being an embarrassment. And when it was Hillary, she wasn't being an embarrassment. Of course, that all changes. You just have to look far enough. Everybody's an embarrassment. Good God. So let's get to the vegan teacher. The video will include her name in the video title, and then it will be deleted. Everybody needs to pick the non-vegan teacher day. So what I'm going to do is, I haven't even looked it up, find out when her YouTube channel went up, what day of the year. On that day, every video you have that mentions vegan teacher, you remove her from the title and the description so it doesn't show up anymore, so she deranks. She's an attention seeker who preaches limiting your diet and preaches being aggravating and insulting and trolling people. That's her entire deal. And that's a stereotype about vegans and vegetarians, is that they expend a huge amount of effort trying to either justify their own belief system, which is all it's turned into, or promote something, and all you have to do to disempower them is, really, you have to make yourself ignore them. It's literally don't feed the troll. And in this case, starve the troll. And that's the next reason for it. You need to find every single source of data on this subject that involves her and get rid of the name and title. If you have power over any of your postings, do so. If you've ever reposted anything, including a debunking of her, remove it. Just get rid of it. Make her go away. Not because she's got a bad message. This is the part that might freak some of you out. But because she represents everything bad about how people promote themselves. The only reason anybody pays attention to her is that she's a borderline sociopath fucking with people. And I don't think it's really borderline, but I'm going to call it borderline because at this point that's acceptable and a preferred thing. Do not give attention to people who are demanding it. Only those who deserve it. And that's hard to do. When you debunk a subject, YouTube punishes you if the subject is controversial and dangerous, but we have to debunk it. But it's sort of like discussing a mass shooting. The mass shooter isn't supposed to be important. But I guess the title of the video taking up, 50 people killed in Vegas is just a bit too much, isn't it? So in all my Vegas videos, it will include the top description part having the names of everyone killed and not mention the idiot who did the firing. After a certain period of time, we all need to do that, I guess, right? So I'm actually going to make an effort to do it. This is no shade on anybody. Do what you want. But do you really want these people to become famous and infamous, which is what their goal was? Now, I know Vegan Teacher isn't a mass murderer, but she's got some of the characteristics, at least as far as how she's presented and how she's become viral, for the same reasons. Negative publicity is still publicity. All they have to do is get your name right. So let's delete their names. And it's not that hard for you to look for any video or any posting you've ever had on the social media and just type in the Vegan Teacher, get rid of them, and then look for a Vegan Teacher and then get rid of those. And just make it to where she no longer has a high trend rate. Is that really going to hurt you? Well, it takes effort. Yes, it takes a lot of effort to promote somebody who desperately wants promotion that you might not like. But you won't put in the effort to just do the same amount of time to remove it. Most of you are on social media have the ability to look these things up and delete them. Unless it's trending, unless it's getting a lot of views, unless it's extreme value in some way. Why aren't we deleting this stuff? Why aren't we cleaning house? Spring cleaning, social media style. We erase all of the people that we'd rather not hear about again. And I'm telling a bunch of Republicans this. If you're sick of hearing about Hillary Clinton, but her emails, and you keep promoting it because you want to keep pressure on, you're just making her more famous. Same thing with everybody out there who's anti-Trump. He's not president anymore. We can just erase or just rename. We can just remove the titles. Many of you can edit. Those of you who can't edit, I'm encouraging you to delete. Is it that hard? Again, we're talking about the Vegan Teacher. You probably never even heard of her. A lot of you haven't, if you even see this video. But if we get rid of them, they're no longer infamous. They're forgettable. And that is a bigger punishment than you can do any other way. And yeah, I'm saying the same thing about Trump. I don't know if I'll be able to practice what I'm preaching, because it actually is some effort. But I think I should put in the effort because I think that's a good idea. On many of my videos, some of them are going to have the channel name put into the title from now on, if they have a certain number of views high. Other videos that have had no views will be erased, or have some useful information in it and a title, and be recycled by making the video 1 minute long with nothing but music in it, with me appearing to talk like this. Because it's a better use of the bandwidth, and it's less of a problem for YouTube and Google to manage a 1 minute video versus a 15-minute video where I blather on and on. Maybe I should do this, and maybe we should all do it. We can repurpose our old posts. Necro-posting in reverse. Time tunneling. It'll look freaky, but the search engines will pay attention, maybe. So how about we pick her channel birth date, which I'll put below if I can find it. And we can all choose that day to do this with all of our social media as a cleanup. And again, reminder, if any of you want to set up a MySpace account, apparently you can still do it. And again, doing it till on the day, on its birth date, the 20-year anniversary of MySpace starting up, if we all go there and post at once, maybe MySpace will turn back into a website that's useful. Maybe we have power over what happens to our social media. Maybe we should demonstrate we'd like that power. Or maybe we should cause it to happen to prove that we have power over it. I don't know, it's just something that struck me by seeing both of these trending on page 1 on YouTube, because they wanted to promote, again, the Vegan Teacher and this guy telling us that we have crooked teeth because we don't do things the way our ancestors did, when it's really just that we survive longer because we're better off. We live in a rarefied atmosphere, so rare that we can have crooked teeth and not drop dead from it. Think about it. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Good luck with that. We all need it.